What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Married at First Sight, Season 18, Episode 16, The Experts Have Questions, as do we all. So the episode starts off with everybody is still at the retreat, minus Allan, because Allan had left the night before. And Michelle is still, she's still pretty much hyped up after everything has been exposed between Madison and David, that they have been hooking up or that they have been canoodling behind everybody's back. So Michelle is ready to confront Madison now. So Madison is coming out of the bathroom and boom, Michelle is like right there. And Michelle asks her, so what do you have to say for yourself, Missy? And Madison is defensive, of course. And she's like, so you're just going to come up here guns blazing? Hell yeah, she's going to come up here guns blazing because your behavior is just absolutely like unacceptable. You're messing around with her husband, and whatever's going on between Michelle and David and what's going on in their home has got nothing to do with you. So yeah, she's going to come up here guns blazing. So Madison says that they had a connection, that they got to know each other from working out together all the time and from the weekends that they spent together. So I'm like trying to figure out, what do you mean by that? The weekends that y'all spent together, like as everybody together, or you and David would run off somewhere? Like, what do you mean by that? Anywho, so they said that they developed feelings for one another, and it was that night at the retreat, that particular night when everything got exposed, is when they decided to pursue it. Well, how coincidental that both of you decided the night that y'all were exposed, y'all decided right then and there that y'all had feelings for one another and y'all want to pursue it. That before y'all were attracted, that y'all were catching feelings, but the other one didn't know. Neither one of you knew that the other one felt the same. But after Michelle exposed y'all, now all of a sudden y'all are ready to take that step forward, that very first step forward, and be like, hey, let's try to make this work between us. Which, I call bull crap, and I've been calling that bull crap because I think that they had started messing around with each other way back in Mexico. I think they started way back in Mexico, and I think that they started having sex soon after they came back from their honeymoon. I truly, truly believe that, because even in Mexico, they were still, because y'all do remember that one time that David had he had come home, like they were in Mexico. He came back into the room really, really late, and the next morning Michelle asked him about it, and he was like, oh, I was out having tacos. Now, someone in my comment had mentioned that much, much later on, Madison had admitted to Allan, not admitted, but she had casually mentioned to Allan that there was a time in Mexico when she was eating tacos in the middle of the night or something. So basically, like, it was kind of weird when David first said it at the honeymoon, that he was eating tacos at 3 o'clock in the morning, and he was just like wandering the grounds by himself at 3 o'clock in the morning. But we really didn't think much of it, right? But now when you're putting two and two together, it's like, well, maybe he was hanging out with um maybe they could have been messing around physically from all the way back in Mexico. Now, I knew that the attraction started in Mexico when they started working out together, because I remember thinking that this was kind of odd on Married at First Sight to have spouses from, two different couples, two different marriages or whatever. You have these two spouses married to other people, but they're hanging out with each other on their honeymoon. And you can definitely say, well, maybe nobody else wanted to work out that early in the morning or that particular time of day, so they just decided to buddy up and work out together. But still, this is your honeymoon. This is your time to get to know whoever the hell they matched you with. And if you have any time to spare alone, wouldn't you want to spend that with this new spouse of yours? Even if you really have this, uncontrollable urge to go work out because you're very regimented and you have your routine and you have your patterns, you can make an exception for this one thing. Instead of working out with somebody else's wife or husband, you would spend that time with your spouse, getting to know I don't know. I did think it was kind of weird, but I didn't think too much of it back then. But like I said, my point is, I think that they caught feelings for one another in Mexico. They could have been already, taking it to that next level as far as intimacy in Mexico, but I don't think that they're that diabolical. So I think that they at least waited until they came back to Chicago before they started actually having sex. Okay, so the biggest victim, or to me, really the only victim, in all of this is Allan, because he was the one who was trying to do the right thing. He had real feelings for Madison. He really wanted to make it work with Madison. Michelle, on the other hand, I don't think she was betrayed by David as much as she was betrayed by Madison, because they had a friendship. And I don't care how casual their friendship was, or um like, I don't, no matter how long or how short of a time you've known someone, you don't want to be made a fool of, and you don't want to be deceived. So even if they had known each other just for a couple of days, you don't want someone on any kind of level to make you look like a fool or to do something deceptive to you, regardless of how well you know them or how little you know them. So Michelle is, I guess you could say that she's a victim of the fact that this person who she considered a confidant, a friend, betrayed her like this. But to me, the real true victim really is only Allan, because he got betrayed by his wife, who he was developing feelings for, who he saw himself having a future with. And he also got betrayed by a friend. And according to what everybody has said in this group, Allan is a real stand-up guy, and he had a real friendship with David. So Michelle ends up leaving the retreat. She's had enough because Allan has already left. So now Michelle has left the retreat as well. So it's the next day, and Madison tells us that she really wants to talk to Allan, that she feels awful and hopes that he'll understand and hopefully forgive her someday. You had ample time to talk to Allan. You were living with the man. You had ample time to talk to Allan. But instead, you didn't want to talk to him. You wanted to lie to him. Instead, you wanted to sneak around and spend, do extracurricular activities with David. You had more than ample time to talk to Allan. Now that everything has hit the fan, all of a sudden now you feel this need to have a heartfelt conversation with the man that you have been trying to avoid forever. And she says that hopefully he'll understand and he'll forgive her someday. Yeah, he understands, all right. He understands that, you broke his heart. He understands that you're a liar, that you're a deceiver, that you're basically a skank. Okay, so Camille and Thomas now, they're talking in bed. And Thomas says that he was a huge defender of David because Michelle was so, I know the girls probably were more, they were more they tolerated Michelle more than the guys did because David was their boy, and David was always complaining to the guys how awful Michelle was treating him. So it was really hard for the guys to take a real liking to Michelle. So Thomas says that for the longest time he was defending David in the wake of how it was perceived that Michelle was treating him. So he felt bad for David. And then when Michelle came with these, allegations of him texting another woman, Thomas was still a staunch defender for David because it was like, well, where's the proof and where's she getting this from? And even if he is talking to somebody else, she's treating him so horribly. He's got the right to try to find companionship in another woman or whatever the hell he was thinking. Either way, he felt like, David was given that he was going through a really awful experience with Michelle. So he was a defender. So then Camille asks Thomas, now that everything has been put out in the open with what's been going on between David and Madison, how do you feel about David now? And Thomas was like, yeah, I can't vouch for the guy no more. I can't defend him anymore because this is absolutely, unacceptable. So the Camille wonders, how deep was David and Madison's physical connection? It was damn deep. It was damn deep. These people were doing it. Okay? They were doing it. They were doing it. And this relationship, this whatever you want to call it, this affair started a long time ago. It has been going on for weeks, not just right before the retreat, not just when the text message was sent, not just the day of the retreat. This has been going on for weeks. So Juan and David are having a conversation. So they're in the kitchen, and um, Juan offers David coffee. David declines as he doesn't really drink coffee. Juan says, well, I've been drinking coffee since I was 5 years old. And then David was like, what do you mean you've been drinking coffee since you were 5 years old? And Juan says, I'm Colombian. So he tells David that at some point, David is going to have to apologize to Allan. He's going to have that hard conversation with Allan because that was his friend, and he betrayed his friend in the worst way possible. So yeah, he's gonna have to face up, and he's gonna have to apologize to him. So Juan says to David that you and Madison are really starting off on a really bad note because your whole entire relationship right now is based on deception and lies and infidelity. Your relationship is built on that. That is the foundation of your relationship. Juan tells him that he even considered not wanting to hang out with David and Madison because he's just so disgusted by how they have conducted themselves. Juan also says that they're going to have a problem with trust because they started off in a really, distrustful way. Their relationship is based on lies. So they're going to have a problem trusting each other. And I totally agree with Juan because I know that if I was, like having an affair with someone, and then I leave my husband to go be with this other person, and knowing that, I was a deceiver, I was an adulterer, whoever I'm cheating with, they're also a deceiver, they're also a liar, they're also an adulterer, I would be worried. I would constantly be worried. It's like, well, if I could do this to my husband with this person, would this person do this to me with somebody else one day? I would constantly be worried about that. I don't see how you could not be. So David and Madison, okay, so they have a scene together. I think David came into Madison's room, and they get into the bed together, and David asks if she's planning on staying at the retreat. Madison says that she does want to have an opportunity to explain to everybody that you can't help how you feel. Girl, let's stop the crap. Madison and David, please understand, I don't think anybody is faulting you for your feelings. Okay. Nobody can control how they feel and what they're drawn to and what they're attracted to. That's based on, chemistry and hormones and all kinds of, physical stuff. Nobody is faulting you on the feelings. The problem is y'all were liars. Y'all were being deceitful to your spouses. I myself personally would have more respect for David and Madison and their union if they were honest with their spouses, ended their marriages, and then ran off together into the sunset. I would respect them more. I might even support that because of the fact that they were both so miserable in their marriages and they found whatever they found in one another. I would be happy for them if they did it the right way. So it's not the fact that they're together, that they have feelings for one another, that they were unhappy in their marriages, that their spouses were this, that, and the other. It's got nothing to do with that. It was the fact that you started something while you were still married to somebody else. Regardless of how that marriage was going, you were still married and you were still lying. Not even the fact that you were married, because you could be married and still be honest with your spouse and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is how I'm feeling. I want to be with so-and-so. What should we do about this? And then your spouse can say, you know what? I don't really care. Do whatever you want to do with them because I don't have any feelings for you, or I'm hurt, or yes, let's get a divorce so we can go our separate ways, or whatever. Your spouse will have that opportunity to process all of this. So we don't care about the feelings. We care about the deception. And we care about the games that y'all were playing, especially Madison, when she kept telling Allan that she was still trying to work on their marriage. Okay, so Madison says that she wants to explain to everybody how, you can't help how you feel. And she especially wants to talk to Michelle. She really wanted to have an opportunity before leaving the house to talk to Michelle. And then David tells her, well, I think Michelle already left. And so Madison was really shocked about that, whatever. So they talk about David wanting to show her his better side because, people have been ragging on him about living in his parents' basement. Michelle always complains about him to the girls. And so he was like, I want to have an opportunity for you to see, who I really am and not be influenced by the things that Michelle has been saying about me. And I'm like, y'all need to quit this, I don't know what y'all are doing right now, this role playing, this nonsense here, because we know that Madison already knows that side of you because y'all have been having an affair for a while. Okay, y'all been having. Of course, she knows the softer side of you, the better side of you, the more vulnerable side of you, because she's been at the gym with you, working out for like hours at a time. I mean, you talk about how y'all are on the treadmill together for 3 hours, just talking on the treadmill. So she knows that side of you. She's attracted to that side of you. That's what started this whole affair to begin with, was that she did see that other side of you that nobody else saw, and she was attracted to that. Madison says that she really tried with Allan. How could you have tried with Allan when you're constantly running away from him? This man is waiting up until the wee hours of the morning, waiting for you to come home 2 to 3 times a week. So how did you try with Allan when you were hardly ever there? She wants to start off by being friends, and she doesn't really want. So she tells David, let's just start off by being friends. I don't really want to rush anything. And once again, they're play acting in front of us. They're going off whatever script that they were texting each other, what they were going to say in front of the cameras. Y'all are in it. Y'all are in it deep. Okay, y'all are in it and y'all are in it deep. So stop with all of this. Let's just start off by being friends, and I don't want to go. Y'all are in it deep. Okay. So Madison talks to Carla and Camille. Okay, so Carla, Camille, and Madison are having a conversation in the living room downstairs. Madison starts off with her BS about, the connection and da 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 da. We didn't mean to hurt anybody, but we were just we're getting along, and there was just something blah blah blah. So then Carla says that how they went about it was really grimy and really dirty, because Michelle would confide in them about all the issues that she was going through with David. So Madison would sit there and listen to Michelle lament about her marriage. And the whole time, Madison is planning and plotting on how to take this woman's husband away from her, or at the very least, how to spend whatever time with him. Like as Michelle is going to the girls and talking about her issues with David, Madison is just sitting there in her head thinking about, okay, when can I see David again? When can I text him again? When can we talk again? When can we spend time with each other again? And on top of all of that, she's going back to David, telling David everything that Michelle is saying. So Michelle never had a safe space with the girls. No matter what was going on between her and her husband, no matter how horrible she was to him, how horrible he was to her coming to her friends, at the very least her co-workers, and talking about her issues with her husband, that was supposed to be a safe space for them. But the whole entire time, she was confiding in her ops. She was confiding in her enemy. Her enemy was right there feeding all this information to her, which I'm pretty sure Madison was taking right back to David. Madison says that the text message should never have been sent to her because her and David were not on that level. Girl, he texted you that, or he meant to text you that, because y'all were definitely on that level. And later on in the episode, when they're talking to the experts, I think it was Dr. Pepper that said, you had to have been on that level for him to feel comfortable enough to send you a text message like that. If y'all were still just friends, totally platonic, neither one of you knew that the other one had feelings for the other, then he would not have felt comfortable texting you that. You're not going to text someone else's wife, your friend's wife. You're not going to text her, you look so fun, I want to eat you up, unless that wife has made it comfortable for him to send a message like that. Okay, if he had no clue that you had feelings for him, he had no clue, no idea whatsoever that you were the least bit attracted to him, and this is your friend's wife, and your friend is serious about her, because I'm pretty sure Allan was confiding in the boys how much he felt for Madison. You would never have texted something like that to her if y'all were not already on that level. So Madison, miss us with the whole entire, it's not like that. It's not that deep. We're just getting to know each other. We're just friends right now. Miss us with all of that. Y'all were on that level for him to say something like that. And for him to say, I want to eat you up, girl, y'all are already hunching at that point. Okay, Carla says that this not only affects the two of y'all and y'all spouses, but it also affects the whole entire group because now you've made it extremely uncomfortable and awkward for the rest of us. Carla asked if they're a couple now. She's like, so what the hell is going on? Are you and David like together? Is this like your honeymoon? Is this your honeymoon? You see, Carla, okay, side note, Carla and Juan, I wish Juan would get it together. I think Carla and Juan are so good together. I think they are so good together. They're both funny. They both have that, sense of humor. I wish Juan would get it together and see that Carla probably is the right woman for him, but I digress. So Madison says, no, we're not together, but we're still exploring. I bet y'all are. Camille says that judging by that text, David is ready. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, of course. Camille was like, judging by that text, I'm pretty sure that y'all are past the exploration phase. Carla says that she doesn't want to be around women who would cross those type of boundaries. And I'm like, hallelujah, amen. Say it again, Carla. You don't want to be around women who have shown you that they don't have a problem canoodling with another woman's husband. You don't want to hang around women like that. Women who see no problem with it, women who justify that type of behavior, you don't want to be around them. Okay? Because your man is next. So Madison then decides that she's had enough of the retreat and she is packing up and she's going to be leaving. Before she leaves, she tells us that she still wants to have a conversation with Allan. I'm like, girl, too soon. Too soon. Way too soon. Wait about a year. Wait about a year, 6 months to a year before you sit down and have a heart to heart with Allan because he is not in the mood to hear anything that you have to say. Allan comes back to the retreat house because he has to get his car and he has to get his seasonings. And he runs into Carla and Camille in the kitchen while he's packing up his seasonings. And they're very supportive. They both give him a hug. They tell him that they're here for him, that they're there to support him. And Allan wonders if this has been going on for a couple of weeks. Allan, it's been going on for more than a couple of weeks, probably since the damn honeymoon. And Allan tells them that Madison consistently reassured him that she wanted to stay with him, that she wanted to make it work with him. He said that she was always holding that carrot in front of him, making him believe that there was hope, making him believe that this could possibly work out, that, there's a possibility she may say yes on decision day, that she was always feeding him false hope, which says a lot about the kind of person, the kind of human that Madison is. That you don't want to be with this man, but you're leading him on for whatever reason. And at the same time, you're hunching his best friend. You're hunching his friend at the same time, at the same damn time. I don't know why, Madison, you want to come on a national television show and make yourself look like this. There are cameras everywhere. And another thing is, even if, let's say, for example, even if nobody would ever know, nobody else would ever know, how can you trust David enough to not tell anybody? Like, why do you want to come on a show and look like this and look like, an adulterer and look like someone who can't be trusted and look like someone that other women don't feel safe around? Like, why do you want to ruin your reputation over a television show, and especially over someone who it's not going to last with? But y'all, it gets better. So, Allan tells them, okay, we assured him. Like I said, I would have more respect for them if they were upfront and honest with their spouses, ended their marriages, and then decided to do whatever the hell they decided to do with one another. Allan says that Allan tells Juan and Thomas, so now he's talking to Juan and Thomas right before he leaves, and he tells them how Madison would be sneaking around, she would be on these 2-hour phone calls, outside in the hallway, wherever the hell she went. She would leave to go talk on the phone with her friend and be gone for like 2 hours, come back, and then like be gone again for another 2 hours. Allan leaves, but before he left, he asked if David and Madison slept in the same room. And neither Juan or Thomas could tell him one way or the other. They just didn't know. And Juan once again tells Allan, don't think about it. Don't let your mind go there because it's not worth it. And I think what Juan was really trying to say is you barely know this woman. Don't let this woman, this fly by night floozy, ruin your whatever, ruin your time here, ruin the next however long it's going to take for you to get over this. Don't let this woman do and have any kind of negative impact on your life because you barely knew her. Okay, it's not worth it. It really isn't worth it. So David then decides to leave. So he comes downstairs, he tells everybody goodbye, and Camille asked him, so like, where do you stand now in all of this? And he was defensive, and he was like, well, no, I'm going to be judged, but the only thing that really matters is that my family loves me, my friends love me. What the hell does that mean, David? Why do you say things like that when you're being held to the fire about your specific actions? Like, why do you? We know your friends love you. We know that your friends and your family will love you even if you unalive somebody. We know your people are always going to be there for you. We're not even talking about that. Nobody asked the question, are you worried about your friends and family not loving you anymore after, you've been caught cheating with Madison? Nobody asked that question. The question was, where do you stand in all of this? And then at the end of it, he did say that he has a lot of self-reflecting to do, which he's not going to do. He's not going to self-reflect a damn thing. So Michelle is back in Chicago. She calls Pastor Cal. She tells him that she has suspected that the text message that David sent was indeed from Madison. And Pastor Cal was like, excuse me? What? What did you just say? And she's like, yeah, I think the text message was from Madison. He wanted to know, why did she think that? So she gives him the whole entire rundown of why she thought that. So Michelle then tells him that David had confessed to Allan that him and Madison had feelings for one another and that they were going to be together. And Pastor Cal was shocked. He was like, oh my God, I cannot wait to talk to these two people. So Pastor Cal says that he's very disappointed because they couldn't commit to this they couldn't wait, 8 weeks or however long. They couldn't wait a couple of weeks until all of this ended, till all of this blew over before they did what they did. Like I said, this has happened on Married at First Sight before. It happened between, I think it was Married at First Sight Houston. I think her name was Bao. She was Asian. She was married to an Asian guy. I forgot his name. Was his name Jimmy? Her name was Bao. And the dude was a black guy. I forgot his name. And him and his wife had a very tumultuous marriage. It was really bad. And I think there was that attraction that they had that started on the show, but they didn't act on their feelings until after decision day, after their divorces were done, way after people started seeing them around Houston together, like going out on dates and whatnot. So they did start something after the show was over. But then it didn't last. So Madison and David could have done the same damn. Y'all couldn't wait 8 weeks. Y'all are acting like animals, like you just have to pounce on each other right here, right now. You couldn't wait until this whole thing played out and you were able to like get everything out in the open and then make your decision after your divorces. You couldn't wait that long because you're just so like freaking animals. Like, no, I gotta do this right now. My body's making me do this right now. I have to have you right now. So he says that he can't wait to sink his teeth into the both of them. So Michelle and Allan, they get together and they compare notes of, okay, there was this one night when Madison was gone. Oh yeah, there was that same night David was gone too. So they're comparing notes of when their spouses were cheating. And it seems like Madison and Dave, okay, they've been together for a while. We've already established that. So then they show us a montage of all of their suspicious activities and all of the weird things that they would say that now when you think about it, you're like, oh, it's because they were having an affair. They show us a montage of all of that. And then they also show us like side by side footage of both of them sneaking back into their apartments after spending time together at 3:00 in the morning. Allan tells her that right before he drove up to their meeting, Madison texted him and she sent him this text message about I want you to give me an opportunity to give you my side of the story. Let me explain myself. I didn't mean to hurt you. I care for you so much, blah, 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 blah. And he responded to her, don't contact me again. And I'm like, come on, Allan, you understand your worth. Allan is back in his own apartment now that he shares with Madison, and he's packing up his stuff. And before he leaves, he did a number on that apartment. He took their vows, he cut them up, he burnt them. He took their cups, their mugs, their Mrs. and Mr. mugs. He broke them. He smashed them somewhere. They're in the sink, broken in pieces. He cut up their wedding photos. He did a number on their stuff, on their wedding stuff. And he's like, yeah. He says that he remembers how he would be sleeping on the couch waiting for her to come home until some ungodly hour. And yeah, it was tough for him. It was really tough for him because he really thought, because of the fact that she was so deceitful and she was such a liar, he really thought that he found someone that was meant for him. And now all of that is up in smoke, just like his damn wedding vows. And I can understand how he feels. I can understand how he feels really brokenhearted because he thought there was a chance with this woman that he was so attracted to. And you know how someone could be attractive, but then you get to know them and then you figure out, what a horrible person they are. And all of that attractiveness just falls by the wayside, because I used to think that Madison was actually pretty in the very beginning, but now I'm noticing like how thick her neck is. And I'm noticing how, like how how boxy her body is. I don't want to body shame. And I'm noticing like how weird her eyes look. Her eyes are dead. Madison's eyes there's nothing there. They're dead. You can't look at her eyes and be like, oh, I see the joy in them, or I see the sadness. There's nothing in her eyes. Whether she's talking to Allan or whether she's canoodling with David, there is nothing in her eye. Nothing there. Just blankness. So David and his friend Tommy meet up. And as soon as they sat down at the restaurant, I was like, I wonder if David is going to tell his friend how deceitful him and Madison were to their spouses. I wonder if he's going to bring up that. Is he going to bring up the text message? Is he going to bring up how he lied in Michelle's face, how Madison lied in Allan's face? Is he going to bring up any of that? And he didn't. So he just basically tells his friend, a lot's happened since the last time I saw you. I'm falling for one of the other wives. And the whole time he's talking about how, there was a connection and blah, blah, blah. And she was interested in me and she was asking me questions and doing all the things that my own wife wouldn't do. And she was getting to know me and I felt appreciated. And I felt blah, blah, blah. And I felt wanted and and I felt seen. All this nonsense. And now he's developing feelings for Madison and that he really sees himself with this woman. And I was waiting for the friend to say, so what did the spouses say? What did Allan and Michelle have to say about all of this? How did they find out? How did you break it to them that y'all were going to be with their spouses? But the friend never asked that. And I'm really wondering why. Did the producers tell him not to ask that, courtesy of David? Like, why wouldn't he ask that? Okay, so David paints this picture of how deep this connection is between him and Madison, obviously to justify his motives, to justify why he did what he did. He's going to make it seem like, me and Madison, we were just meant to be. It was just like this undeniable connection that we had. We were just drawn to each other. We couldn't help it. We couldn't control it because we're just so meant to be. But it's really all about sex. It's really all about sex. It ain't about no damn deep connection. It ain't about no damn love, no damn future, no nothing. It's just about hunching. So, and the reason why I say that is because the text message that he sent to her was a text message was related to sex. When he says, "Oh, you look so good, I want to eat you up," he didn't text her or meant to text Madison, "You're my soulmate. You're my other half. You complete me." It wasn't that kind of a text message. It was, "You look so good, I want to eat you up." It was a sexually related message. This whole relationship is based on nothing but sex and lies. Michelle returns to the apartment to pack up. I'm sorry, not Michelle, Madison. Madison returns to the apartment to pack up, and she sees all the destruction that Allan left. The evidence of the fires, the broken cups. She sees all of that. And Madison says that Allan should have heard it from her first. But girl, you were constantly running away from this man. When everything went down at the damn retreat, when Allan finally heard it from David, you were nowhere to be seen. You were hiding. You were hiding somewhere. You're in some dark corner, some closet hiding. The fact that you're now telling us, oh, he should have heard it from you, had ample opportunity to tell him. You could have told him in Mexico. You could have told him as soon as you arrived in Chicago. You could have told him within any number one of those weeks that you were lying to him, instead of playing in his face and lying and creating, false hope. You could have been telling him the truth. You could have been telling him, hey, I'm having feelings for your friend David. I want to be with David. You had so many opportunities to tell him. You had weeks upon weeks, days upon days to tell him. Now that the man is brokenhearted and he ran off to go lick his wounds, now you're, oh, he should have heard it from me. He should have heard it. He could have, but you didn't want, instead you wanted to lie to him. She calls, oh yeah, and also you're busy having these 3 a.m. workout sessions with David. So she calls her friend and she tells her friend that she came back to the apartment and she saw all of this destruction. He cut up the wedding photos. He burnt their vows, blah, blah, blah. The friend calls it psycho behavior. No, friend, what psycho behavior is if you remain friends with Madison, especially if you have a significant other. That's what I call psycho behavior. You know what kind of time, what type of time Madison is on. She's on, I'm a still your man time. So if you have a boyfriend or a spouse or any kind of significant other, it'd be psycho for you to remain Madison's friend. That's what I call psycho behavior. You know what else is psycho? Telling a man that you're really trying to make this marriage work while you're hunching his best friend. I think that's also kind of psycho behavior. I can give Allan a pass for burning the vows and breaking the cups. I can't give you a pass for how deceitful you were to so many people. Madison wants to reach out to Allan, but she doesn't know how. And so her friend tells her, well, obviously you can't call him. So why don't you just send him a message saying blah, 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 blah. Hey, as my husband, I want to talk to you. No, 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 no. You don't have good friends, Madison. This woman is setting you up for a beatdown. What your friend should have said was, girl, let him cool down. Let him come to you first. And if he never does, he never does. But let him come to you first, if anything. This man is upset. He's extremely hurt. And if anyone should know, it's Madison, because she was right there. She saw, he even said to her, I'm not in love with you, but I have love for you. And I think that was his way of testing the waters and saying, I think I'm falling in love with you. But he didn't want to come right out and say it because he knows that she wasn't there yet. She wasn't at that point yet. But when he said, I'm not in love with you, but I have love for you, it was his way, I think, of telling her, I think I'm falling in love with you, Madison. But he was too scared to actually say it because of, the fact that she's been, very not really feeling him. So the friend to tell her, girl, send him no, leave that man alone. Leave that, or you're going to get a cuss. He's going to cuss you out really bad. You're going to be in tears. Leave that man alone. Let him cool the hell down first. So, you're the last person he wants to hear from. At the retreat, yeah. Okay, fine. So moving on, David and Madison, they finally sit down and meet with the damn experts. They sit down to meet with the experts, and before the meeting happens, Madison tells us that she does not want to be judged. She doesn't want to be told that she was wrong. She doesn't want to be ambushed or attacked by anybody. Girl, no ma'am. We're going to call you out on your mess. Otherwise, the experts are not doing their job if they don't. They're going to call you out on your mess. They're going to hold a mirror in front of you for you to see yourself for exactly who the hell you are. And you're not an angel. And you're not innocent. You're a destroyer. You're destroying people's lives over here. They're going to call you out for the things that you've done. So stop with this. Oh, I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be told that I was wrong. I don't want this. And I don't want, no. She goes, I'm only human and I make mistakes. Well, we know you're human. You're not a cactus. We know that you're a human being. And we all know that humans do make mistakes, but there's something, it's a whole nother level of making mistakes when you're planning and plotting on how to cheat on your husband. And night after night, you're going out with another woman's husband, your friend's husband, and you're sneaking in and you're being deceitful. That's a whole nother level. That's beyond, that's intentional, that's purposeful. You know that this is wrong. You know that there's, girl, look, making a mistake is maybe on a drunken moment. Maybe you kissed David or something in a drunken moment or something. That's a mistake. It's like, oh my god, I didn't mean to, I don't know what the hell's going on, I'm drunk. But for you to plan and plot and be so manipulative and so deceitful to your husband and to your friends and to Michelle, that's purposeful. You're doing this with intent. You're showing your character. You're showing the kind of person that you are. This is not about being human and making a mistake. This is just about being diabolical. So, when they sit down with the experts, I think one of them asked, I think it was Pastor Cal, asked him, so when did all of this start? It was either Pastor Cal or Dr. Pepper. They asked him, so when did all of this start? Her and David. And it started back in Mexico. No, sorry. That's not what she said. They said it started at the gym. So my question was, which gym? The one in Mexico or the one in Chicago? Which gym are you referring to that this affair started at? David was in a really defensive mode. He tried to appear relaxed by being laid back on the couch, but he wasn't. He was very tense and he was in defense mode. Pastor Cal asked, have you been intimate? David says no, unless you consider a hug being intimate. See, that kind of remark right there, that childish, defensive type of response, says it all. See, David is an idiot. He's stupid. When you're so defensive, you come off looking very guilty, and we know what the real deal, what's really going on by your body language and your defensive answers. If you knew how to play it cool, you would have just said no and left it at that. What's up with all of this? So do you consider a hug being intimate? No, obviously nobody does. But the fact that you brought it up and the way that you brought it up, you've answered my question. And the real answer is yes, y'all have been intimate. Because what is the point of being defensive? This is also platonic. This is also new. Y'all just revealed to each other that y'all actually have mutual feelings for one another. Why would you be defensive when someone asks that question unless you're actually are being intimate? You should have just played it cool, just like with that damn text message. When Michelle caught you, you should have just played it cool and said, yeah, the message was for you. I meant that to go to you. Yes, that was for you. That was intended for you, Michelle. I want to eat you up. But you don't know how to play it cool because you're an idiot. Is the mic still on? Okay, they talk about how they connected, blah blah blah, this whole connection thing, and Dr. Pepper implied, we think that you have been intimate because that text message about eating her up, that implies intimacy. That implies that y'all are comfortable enough with one another to exchange, or for you to send a message like that. Madison says that, of course, now she got defensive as well. Now she began to get defensive. She was like, well, we're not denying that there's a sexual attraction between us. We're not denying that. Of course, we're sexually attracted to each other, but they haven't been intimate. And then Pastor Cal asked them, well, why not? What's stopping you from being intimate? And Madison very defensively says, because we're married. Okay, but you were also married when y'all were having 3 a.m. workout sessions. You were also married when you were telling your husband, I'm going to go talk to my girlfriend, and you step outside and you're gone for 6 hours. You were also married during then. You were also married when you're looking your husband in his face, telling him that you want this marriage to work, and then you're going to sneak off and go spend time with David. You were also married at that time as well. So what's the difference? Pastor Cal says, why would we believe you now? that you're not being intimate. You've lied so much. Why would we believe you when you say that you haven't been intimate? And David says, well, you can believe whatever you want. The defensiveness increases because he's guilty as hell. Pastor Cal alludes to that this could be just a rebound relationship because y'all are both unhappy in your marriages. And so y'all are just using each other for a rebound. And so Pastor Cal brings up how Madison had told them during the interview process to get on the show. She had told them that she did not want to be married to a non-white man, that she preferred to be married to a Caucasian man. And so Pastor Cal said that she was very adamant about that. Pastor Cal said that they asked her several times during the casting process, what if we matched you with someone who wasn't white? And she kept on saying, no, I want to be married to a white man. So Pastor Cal says, so if you saw him, walking down the street, you wouldn't give him a chance. He wouldn't have a chance in hell with you. And then Madison said, well, I've dated black guys. And then Pastor Cal says, yeah, dating is one thing. But when it came to marriage, you made it very clear to us that you would only consider marrying a Caucasian man. Do you not understand that, Madison? Or are you just as dense as David? Pastor Cal says, we understand feelings, but wait a minute, I'm jumping ahead. Okay. Pastor Cal says, the whole idea around marriage is that you're creating a boundary and you don't act on those feelings. Of course, you're going to have feelings of attraction for other people when you're married. It's natural. It's human. It's okay. That's fine. But the thing about marriage is that you know that you have made, promises, vows, whatever with this person. And there are certain boundaries that you're just not going to cross. You're just not going to cross those boundaries no matter what, because you're married. So y'all having feelings for one another is perfectly okay. It's just how you went about it that is just, unacceptable. So David is in this because I think they asked, so what are your future plans? And David says that he's in this for the long haul. He really likes her and he really wants to see where this can go between the two of them. Madison, on the other hand, she's like, well, I don't know about all that. We're just getting to know each other. I want us to take it really slow, blah, 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 because she doesn't want to be married to a non-white man, number one. And number two, now that they have told her that you're just his rebound, she's, probably having second thoughts about it all. I think that it was just for both of them, really. It was just physical. It was just physical. I don't believe David when he says, oh, I think this could actually work out. He's trying to save face to try to make it seem like them hurting other people was worth it because they are destined to be together and they are the true match. That the love connection is really between him and Madison, just to justify the fact that they've hurt and lied to other people. So, but I don't think he has any intentions of spending his life with her and vice versa. She has no intentions of spending her life with him. At the end of the day, a couple of years down the line, we might see, Madison married to a white guy. Okay. And David is going to move on to his next blonde. So this is just all physical, but they're trying to save face because they don't want to look like, like sex starved, cheating, adulterous skanks. They don't want to look like that. Moving on to Imam and Eaty. There's not much to say here. They met with the experts. I'm just going to try to go by the highlights. I don't want to go through all these notes. But Imam and Eaty met with the experts. And once again, Imam arrives first. And whenever she walks into a room, the experts are always so happy to see her. They just have these big smiles on their faces because she always looks, fantabulous. She just brings this really great positive energy into the room. And so after that, here comes Eaty, Mr. Doom and Gloom himself. And once again, he does not greet Eaty at all. Not even a what's up. Just plops himself down next to her, slouching, bad posture. And everything gets started. Dr. Pepper asked him, why in the world would you show up at the dinner with divorce papers for your wife? And Imam says, because he just wanted to embarrass me. That's it. He wanted to embarrass her. I agree. And I also think he just wanted a moment. He really wanted to create a moment so that whenever they start playing, past clips of Married at First Sight in the future, they'll always show this clip. He wants to be remembered for perpetuity, for forever. He wants to be always be shown in the most memorable clips of Married at First Sight. That's all. He wanted a moment. He wanted to be in the spotlight. He wants attention, and he wanted to embarrass her. He denies it, of course, and he was about to get up and leave, but then he sat back down, and then Imam calls it for what it is. She says it's a bunch of BS. It's just all a bunch of BS. Pastor Cal tries to tell him that you can't always walk away. Sometimes you're just gonna have to sit down and face the music like an adult. And we have seen more of Ikechi's back than we have seen of his front, because he is always exiting a room because he has to film with his wife. And whenever she's in the room, he's going to get up and exit at some point. We have seen more of Ikechi walking away than walking to. They asked, do y'all want to end this marriage? Both of them said yes. Imam then reads her letter to Dear Departed, which was basically like a goodbye letter, or I'm going to end this letter to Ikechi. So she reads the letter to him. She ends it by saying that she wishes him nothing but the worst. And then she has the proper divorce documents with her. Okay, the actual dissolution of marriage documents for both of them to sign and to get filed with the court. And so Dr. Pia says that Imam was acting a bit shady. And I was like, Dr. Pia, what is it that you have against Imam? Imam has every right to act shady because Imam has tried. She has the patience of Job with this man. She has done everything that y'all told her to do. She has shown up for everything. While she was going through her mess with Ikechi, she was still being a very supportive friend to everybody else. To everybody else whose marriages were falling apart, she was there for them. She was cheering on the couples that were actually working. So she's being a good friend. She's trying to keep her marriage together, trying to keep her own life intact. And you have the audacity to say, oh, that was a bit shady. She has every right to be shady. Did you ever call Ikechi shady, Dr. Pia? Did you ever say that he was shady? Because this whole entire time he's been on this show, he's been nothing but shady towards his wife, towards this gorgeous, beautiful, accomplished Black woman. He has been nothing but shady to her. Did you ever call Michelle shady, Dr. Pia? Someone should do a montage of Ikechi exiting a room, because it would be a sight to see. It would be like scene after scene after scene after scene of Ikechi getting up and walking away. And that was the end of that, y'all. And then there was two. We only have two couples left. One couple, very, very, it's really up in the air, and that's Juan and Carla. I wish they would get it together. I wish we would have I wish we would have had more time with Juan and Carla to see things develop, because I think that they probably would have had a chance. They're so cute together. They're so cute. Unfortunately, their progress has been overshadowed by David and Madison. And then we also have Camille and Thomas, who I have a feeling they're both going to say yes on decision day, because they're showing us too many clips of them possibly saying no. And when they do that a lot, I feel like the opposite is going to happen. But anyway, y'all, I've kept y'all long enough. Thank you so much for joining me. I truly do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please subscribe to my channel. I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.